Hey, Sherpa Network. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Tess Diaz, Executive Producer of DomainSherpa.com, and this is the Domain Sherpa Review. This is the show where we get into the minds of successful domain name investors using real examples so we can learn strategies and tactics to become better investors ourselves. We have 3 segments to the review. We'll start off learning what the Sherpas recently bought and sold. Next, we'll discuss in value an investor-submitted domain name portfolio. And finally, we'll preview some domains going to auction soon at NameJet.com and whether the Sherpas think they're a good investment for you. Joining us today on the Domain Sherpa Review are 3 past Sherpas and industry thought leaders. We have Jebediah Burnett from Donuts, Shane Coltra from DSAD.com and owner of Country Arbors Nursery in Illinois, and Andrew Rosner, CEO of domain brokerage firm Media Options. Welcome, Sherpas.
Hi, everybody.
Great to be here.
Good to have you back. It's been a long time. Drew and Shane, you've been traveling, and Jebediah, we've missed you.
I've missed the Sherpas. Lots going on. It's a busy summer for everybody, it sounds like.
It's been a very busy summer. Let's jump into the first segment of the show, What's New Sherpas, where the Sherpas share one purchase or sale they've made over the past few weeks, and we get to learn what they paid or received for the domain, why they thought it was a good deal, and how the negotiations progressed. I'll lead you through the questions, and then you folks can comment. You guys know the drill. Let's see, Jebediah, you're first. Name one domain you've bought or sold or brokered in the past few weeks.
Okay. I want to go with On.Live. So I think last time I was on, we talked about Bitcoin Live, which had gone live at that point. But this was also a .live, but I really like this name, On.Live.
So it's a
On.Live.
Sorry, On.Live.
Mm-hmm.
Fabulous. All right.
And it does not have a premium renewal. I'll put that out. I know that's been a question before. So all cash deal.
Does or does not?
Does not.
Okay.
Very nice. What do you guys think? How much?
Drew?
On.Live. I mean, so 2-character, it doesn't immediately jump out at me as like, wow, that's that was a super premium that I would hold back, other than the fact that it is a 2-character. But I wouldn't necessarily always put the on with the live together as a meaningful sort of combination. But, when you see it, you can sort of appreciate that it's a brand. I'm going to say 25.
Okay, $25,000 is your guess.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, Shane?
And I assume this is a registry sale or it's a direct to company. Okay, so that always gives it a little bit more value. And non-premium renewal, the 2-letter alone is probably more about, I think a little bit less than that. I think that it's still a good time to move. So I'm going to say 15K.
15K. All right. I like it. I think it, it has that, like, what's on live right now. Jebediah, tell us all about the transaction.
So before I tell you the price, I want to tell you a little bit of the history on this one. So the company actually reached out to us not much longer after .live actually launched. They've been sort of building up to this brand, and what's nice about that is being the registry, we're able to actually sort of work with them and guide them on, the best choice of domain names that fits their brand to fit what they're looking to achieve. So the domain name ended up selling for $30,000. And then it is already live. It's a great, cool little tokenized website for online content. So you're able to kind of pop online, provide content for a fee, and get paid that way. So it's we like to call it a use case purchase. Obviously, working with the business, startup, things along those lines. There was a little compensation made on the price point of the domain name because of that. But it allowed them to use the domain name that they wanted, and it fits their brand perfectly. So.
Fantastic.
What do you mean by compensation? Explain that.
So discount, basically discount. So the domain name was originally listed, if I remember correctly, at around $75,000. working with them, getting information, what we call use case offers or use case scenarios. Hey, this is how we're going to use it. This is when we're launching. This is how it benefits both of us to use this domain name. We then make price breaks on it. So,
yeah, that makes sense. It gets more publicity for .live. So,
yeah, which is doing very, very well. By the way,
how many registrations you got on .live?
A lot.
Yeah.
I actually purposely, I have a lot of clients that ask me that, or will actually email me, hey, there were 2,700 registrations today of .live. What happened? And I always laugh because like, I don't watch daily registration stats that way. Being the registry, obviously renewal is important to us, and we have a really high renewal rate. So that's beneficial. And then the domain names that are being registered are really exciting because they're not all general availability pricing. They're also premium priced domain names. So $200, $500, $1,500 year over year domain names. So that's really well. I can get you those stats if you want, but I don't usually have them off the top of my head. But it's done very well. It's exciting. It's a good domain extension. It's one of my favorites.
This is really
I like .live. I'm not, I'm generally not an enormous gTLD fan. There are certain ones that I like. I've been pretty clear about sort of my position. But there are certain ones that I really like, and I do, but meaning SLDs, so certain combinations of left and right of the dot, which I think like, wow, that just makes a great brand.
Right.
I've, as far as overall gTLD, the overall extension as a whole, I don't necessarily subscribe to the idea of like, oh, I think this is a great extension. I think ultimately the generic ones are great because they have the greatest possibility of large numbers of registrations. But .live is it's up there. Everything is about, real time now and live and streaming. And so .live, makes a lot of sense on many fronts. There's already so many existing brands that are such and such live.
Right.
So yeah, it's a good one.
Well, what's interesting too is brands are using it for not just live, but live. There's actually a lot of apartment complexes here in Seattle.
Okay.
We're starting to see, something .live or, Sherwood.live. And it's sort of an interesting idea. To be honest, it was over my head when I didn't even think about that originally. And the apartment complex here in, I think it's Kent, which is just south of Seattle, they did it. And it was like, and then there's been commercials and stuff recently about it too. So it's cool.
I'm just on this site on.live and it's really fantastic. So it looks like they're upgrading from livecoin.net to on.live, and they're using this to brand themselves as ONL. And I mean, this is really, I think it's such a matter of how the TLD goes with your branding, and what they did here is beautiful, I think. Very cool.
So many people get domain investing and marketing mixed up. It's not the same thing. Just because we can't resell the name doesn't mean that it doesn't work. As a brand and marketing, .live's fantastic. Just because I can't go in there and buy a name and sit on it and call it worthless, from a domain investing standpoint, that's true. But that doesn't make it worthless. That makes it worthless for you as an investor to try and hold on and sit and guess. But
exactly. Two different things.
Totally different things. But there's a couple people in the industry whose horns just don't differentiate. They just say, this sucks, this is good. It's just not that simple. As a marketing manager, it's just a different game. And .live to me is a fantastic one. I'm not going to make any money on it, but obviously there are people that will. And from a company, it works, especially if you can get a short one early. So yeah, that's what people talk to me about that until it stinks. Well, just because you didn't make money, things don't stink. There's other people on the other side doing just fine.
Yeah, very true. All right, cool. Who's up next?
I'll go because Drew will have a big one. I represent the small guy, remember?
All right, Shane.
Wait, hold on. I apologize.
Yeah.
Did you spaced? I missed the price.
I haven't even gone yet.
30,000.
Oh yeah, 30,000. Yeah.
Nice, good sale, great sale.
Yeah, and so it was listed at 75,000, and they cut them a break because
I heard that. but I didn't get the final price.
Right.
What's interesting is if you go to On.Live.com, it's a failed company. And right on the website, it says, our assets are for sale. Contact us. On.Live.com is for sale. That copyright has been updated as of 2018. So that's recent. They've got trademarks for sale, assets for sale. So it's
look at Jebediah smiling there. You know about this? Was that part of your negotiation?
Well, so if you kind of notice a theme, the last domain name I talked about on Sherpa had the same issue. The .com was still available. And if I remember correctly, it was in the similar ballpark of price point.
Well, we're brokering it, Bitcoin.live.
What? Oh, are you now?
Or
Bitcoin Live.
What is it?
Bitcoin Live?
Yeah, no, what was the one you sold?
On.Live.
No.
Last
time.
Yeah.
Last time was Bitcoin.live.
Yeah, so we're brokering that, I think, right, Tess?
We're BitcoinLive.com. I think we are now brokering because of this show.
Right.
Okay, got it. Yeah. So owners saw it and then reached out to us. So we are now brokering that one.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay, so on this one, Jebediah, was that part of your conversation with the buyer?
It was a brief part of the conversation. So, I'm very adamant that this mentality of .com rules the world is a domainer mentality. And it is something that, like we were just talking about, marketing people and brands, they are looking outside the box. They're looking for options to differentiate themselves from everybody else out there. And new domain extensions are a way that they can do that reasonably. And so we're starting to see a lot of inbound inquiries on domain names where the .com is still available, and their price points are, their offers or even the sale prices are similar, equal, or greater than what the asking price was for the .com. So it's, I'd love to say that me and my team that we're just phenomenal salespeople that way. We are, but at the same time, there's a mentality shift, and I get to see that on a daily basis. So it's exciting. It's exciting to watch something like On.Live where the .com is available, or Bitcoin Live where the .com was available.
So clearly, as is evident from the last two shows and the two sales that we've discussed, and the evidence is clear that there is substance to what you're saying. But I do want to rebuke it to some extent.
Sure.
So as .com brokers, premium .com brokers, our number one client is people upgrading from either a new gTLD, a .co domain, or a .io domain, and wanting to have the .com. Unequivocally, 60-70% of our entire market is people on both the acquisition side as well as the outbound sales side. Ultimate sale happens to people who want an upgrade.
Yeah.
Second, is it's not necessarily true that it's a domainer mentality. There's sort of two sides to the coin, right? So if you're the marketing guy, then it's exactly what you said. It's how do we differentiate ourselves? How do we set ourselves apart from the rest of the pack? And using a completely new technology, if you will, if you want to call it that, is a great way of doing that. And we've seen that with all technological shifts. You have first movers that want to stand out from the pack by differentiating, by utilizing these new technologies. That being said, there are pitfalls that are very real. And the reality is that traffic bleed, and more importantly, email bleed, is a very real thing. It cannot be denied. We are receiving an unbelievable amount of email that was intended for somebody on the equivalent new gTLD, .co, .io, whatever, where we own the .com or our clients. It's become standard practice for us, people who have a premium .com. And we know there's people out there operating on the .io, the .co. We ask them, please set up a catch-all email address, create an inbox, send all the email there. And, when we've got somebody who's interested, they're on the fence, whatever, we can forward them that email and say, look, guys, here you go. This is the reason. I don't even need to sell this to you. Here is an inbox full of hundreds of emails, which were intended for you that never received. Some of them contain sensitive information. and you did not receive it, somebody else did. And if you don't buy this domain and your competitor does, then they're going to be the ones receiving that sensitive information. And that is a very real security risk. It is a very real marketing conflict. It is a very real branding conflict. It's an Achilles heel. And so I completely agree with every word you said, but there is the flip side, the reality, the technological constraints of these new gTLDs. They are real. And so I am of the belief that I agree with what you've said. I think that it is a very interesting way to differentiate, to create a conversation, to get people talking about you. But I think you got to have the .com equivalent. I think that it's ultimately, I mean, it depends on what is the size of the company you're trying to build. Are you a consumer-facing company? You know, how active are you utilizing your URL? You know, are you an online company? And if the answer to those questions is yes, you are consumer-facing, you are trying to be a next billion-dollar company, $100 million company, $50 million company, you know, I think that it's irresponsible to not have the .com because of those pitfalls that I mentioned. You know, it's a problem.
I have a question. So, you know, I see both, and this is why we bring in a panel to have different sides of, like, you're both right. You know, you both have very valid information. And for someone who's trying to make a domain name marketing decision, this is where they want to weigh these different options. Do you think, and this is a question for all three of you, do you think corporations, most corporations that you deal with, are able to make that decision and weigh these concerns that the both of you are mentioning on their own? Or do you think they really need to bring in a strategy expert, a domain broker, someone who's familiar with this space and with the finer points of these decisions? Do you think they're qualified to do that on their own? Or maybe that's not the right word.
I think that there's what should be, and then there's the reality. And what should be is that, yes, I think that domain names are becoming increasingly more important. And there is increasing awareness of domain names as a whole in both corporate boardrooms, marketing people, in standard business education, in all fields of technology. However, it is still early days, in my opinion. Awareness is still very limited. And the reality is that it's 1 in 100 people who even care enough to weigh those factors at all. In my experience, people still have a negative stigma associated with any type of aftermarket domain transaction. And so it's 1 in 100 people who have the passion, enthusiasm, and interest in the domain name, in really encapsulating their brand, in owning all of the critical IP to utilize that brand, to own that brand on a global basis on the internet, that would even consider to bring in sort of, you know, outside counsel to understand these different variables.
I mean, we're building this industry. Do you think that will ever be built? Like, let's talk about, everybody reads about in, you know, standard business 101, McDonald's. Now they do marketing, right? They've got people who color the golden arches and, you know, all that, but they bring in particular experts to choose their location. And they spend some exorbitant amount of money choosing the exact intersection that would be the most fruitful. And then Burger King just watches what they do. And whenever McDonald's sets one up, they save the money and they just buy one nearby the new McDonald's, right?
But that's because
they bring in someone who is an expert in real estate, even though they're marketing.
No.
Okay, what do you got?
McDonald's is not a burger and fries company. McDonald's is a real estate company, just like the Catholic Church is not a religious organization. The Catholic Church is a real estate company. They're the largest real estate owner in the world. That's a fact. McDonald's is the second largest real estate owner in the world. So real estate is their business. You know, they license their brand and their product, but they're a real estate company. So for that purpose, it makes sense to bring in that top expert to identify the location. None of the businesses that we're selling domains to are a domain company. Domain names are not the business of any of these companies. It's just a facet of the brand, a facet of the business, a tool. At least that's the way that they perceive it. But anyway,
that's a good differentiation.
I don't want to be hijacking the
Yeah, I
company.
mean, but I think most startups, that's not what's on their mind, especially. They've got this idea, they've got this thing, they want to be fun, they're young, they go and they want to be creative. They're creative people and they want to be creative. And then they get an advisor. And by then the name has been made and they've been put it on a .io, and then they realize, hey, this has gotten a lot bigger. So they upgrade. And that's what you're seeing. It's no different than somebody buying a location for a hamburger joint and realize the traffic's not what they want and they can afford a better spot later and get on a main strip and sell more hamburgers. It's just nobody has that marketing company or that advisor that's telling them, before we name the company, let's go see what domain names are available. Obviously that's how it should be. You know, right now we have a nonprofit we're starting, and a person already named it, filled out the paperwork, did days and days of paperwork, and then he says, hey, get the .org for it. I said, well, why didn't you tell me this before you went through 4 days of paperwork? I can't find anything close to what he called the company that we started or the organization. And I said, and here I am. I'm a domain name expert, and we form a nonprofit, and we still screw it up. So you know that it can be done by somebody not thinking. That's just how it works. And for us to say, oh, they should have gotten a marketing expert, it's just not the process right now. It should be, but it's not.
Yeah, and it will be probably in the next generation. And Jebediah, I like what you said about the traction that they get, or maybe it was you, Drew, but the traction that they get for, you know, having On.Live right now. They're standing out. They're helping that be memorable. They're also using the OML. I think all that really works in their favor. Hey, let's get to it, guys. Shane, what's a domain you've bought or sold lately when you haven't been?
Well, I was going to do one, but I switched it just because it's another interesting story. So it's just another name I've already sold once, but I'm selling it again. So it's indianabrick.com.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Jebediah, what do you think indianabrick.com sold for?
Indiana Brick.
It's funny. We could go back and see what Drew said last time, and everybody said.
Yeah. I remember talking
Put this
about
on pause and let's go back and watch the other.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go 4,500.
Okay.
Kind of feel that number. I really have no basis for it, to be honest with you. But I think if I were to be selling the name and somebody came to an offer with that, it would be reasonable.
Yeah, and most domains sell between $500 and $5,000. That you do have a basis for it. You just are such an expert that you know you just feel it. All right, Drew.
So here's the deal. I have no clue what I said the last time, but what I do know is that we had a client a couple of years ago that was an absolute powerhouse on internet marketing for the brick and pavers and cobblestones and all that stuff. And that was a big business with big profits. And there's a huge lead gen category around that business. And so there's money there. I would probably be close to what Jebediah said, around $5,000, maybe upper limit of like 7,500. But because it's the second go around, and Shane's already extracted some dough out of it on the first go around. I'm gonna just say that he was, it was already lubricated and he was ready to let it slide out the door a little less. I'm gonna go $2,800.
So Drew is not only a domain expert, but also psychology. All right, Shane.
Yeah, he knows. Drew knows me. Drew knows that I don't push it too far.
Things without psychology. That's the ultimately your job in any type of sales is psychology.
It's great when I can't remember who said it. They said I should be more like Shane and let domains go for cheap. I said that's not a compliment. Okay, so I only put it up here because of the story. I sold it, and I can't remember what the first time I sold it, but it was on a payment plan where most of it was paid up front, and then he had $1,500 left. It just disappeared. Didn't pay it. I didn't even do it through escrow because the number wasn't very high, and I'm in the brick business myself. But nothing happened, never paid, and I just kept the domain. And then I put a buy it now at what he owed me, and the person that bought it wasn't him. So,
oh man,
yeah. So I sold it at $1,500, and I had it at Afternic buy it now. And the ironic part is that's not who bought it. It was a totally different company out of Indiana selling Indiana brick, and I thought for sure it was going to be him. I lost a little money because I had to pay Afternic, but that's the second or third name that I've resold because somebody doesn't pay the last one or just disappears. I mean, it's crazy. At auction, I'll sell a name at auction on Flippa or whatever, and they'll pay it, and I'll try to give it to them. But then I told Drew that story several times, and he said, I had to go get a couple names for a year ago or 2 years ago. I forgot to pick up at auction that I bought and didn't pay for, or I paid for but never picked up the name. So it happens, but I don't know, it's not necessarily free money, but it is a crazy story how you can just sell a name several times in this industry.
You don't remember what the original sales price was?
I don't remember. I talked about it on the show. I was going to talk about Libby. And the other story behind this one, I sold Libby for $800. I bought it because my daughter's name was Libby, and I was going to use it as an email. And she didn't use it as an email for a year, so I put it on Afternic. And about 3 days before it expired, someone paid $800 for it, and it's still sitting there, never been used. But I just gave her $800 for her college fund. She got $800 for nothing. So it was the best email I ever bought her. But I was going to use that one. Then I thought, oh, this one went through not too long ago too. And it was not great money, but good stories. So that's my role.
Good story. Okay. August 21st, 2017 is the Sherpa review where we discussed it.
I think it was like $3,000 or that's the kind of name I sell in that range, 2,800. There's only so many people in Indiana that are going to use the name. You're not going to buy it in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. So Drew guessed $8,000.
Nah.
Mike Carson was on.
He said, I don't know. It's not .io, so I have no clue.
Yeah, you're right. And Drew wants LSD. Mike had that like crazy picture of his family behind him. Yeah. Mike finally guessed 5,000. Shane, you sold it for 1,800.
Yeah. No, He paid more than that then. So I actually did fine. So so he paid. No, he still owed me. Yeah, he still owed me like $800. No, I made money on it then.
Okay.
Yeah, I did fine.
Well, good for you. You made money on it twice.
There's a flip side to the psychology here of, okay, I've already made money on it, I'm going to let it go out the door cheaper. It actually is contrarian, because if you've now got multiple buyers who want this name, the value of that name is actually, it's materially higher, and it's a supported value now. When you've got multiple people, it's like a name. We've got a few names that we get a lot of inquiries on, like blackbear.com, for example. Blackbear.com, I mean, weekly offers on blackbear.com, mostly tire kickers, people coming in at $1,000, $5,000, but constant flow of offers on blackbear.com. To me, even though most of the people are tire kickers, it's like, I don't care what the Google numbers are. I don't care what, you can show me whatever stats you want. If there is a constant flow of people who want this name, one of them eventually is going to step up to the plate. So the more people you got interested in a name, even if it's a seemingly low value name, I think that provides material evidence to
But don't you think like geo names bring it down to
an extent, but not in this. It's all relative, right? I mean, brick.com would be we might have even sold brick.com actually. I want to say we did, and it was like mid six figures. But Indiana Brick, I mean,
there's probably
you make one truckload delivery. You know better than me, but you make a truckload delivery of bricks to somebody, you're making more than $1,500 on that load of bricks.
Yeah, I think if I remember, though, it was the same guy over and over and over, and then nobody steps in, and as soon as you get the second step in, then you're like, okay, now I got it. I got it sold. I just got to milk it between these two guys, and you put the old inclusive in there. And, what did my friend say? You accidentally email the other one, like in the movies. Oh, did I email you and say that he was looking for it?
Oh, wrong guy.
Sorry. Yeah. I was talking to so many guys about this. I am so sorry. Yeah. But I'm not real good. I'm not real good at the geo. Like, names that are Black Bear, names that are open. And I know that's endless amount. There's no ceiling. For me, when I get the geo and I think, man, there's like 6 guys in the world. Normally, I wouldn't even buy that, but it's like a $12 pickup. And that's in my wheelhouse. My wheelhouse is garden, brick. I know who's going to buy that and what they're going to use it for. But when it gets open, it's so much. Sugar maple is in my wheelhouse too. But that can be a lot of different things besides some guy selling a tree.
You have sugarmaple.com?
Oh, of course.
I like it. Okay, Drew, what'd you buy or sell?
All right. I had a real hard time picking one here because I didn't do my homework in advance. I'm gonna use one I really actually did not want to discuss, but I'll just do it anyways because I really don't have an alternative. So we're gonna say meg.com, MEG. And this is a buy, not a sell.
Oh, you bought it.
Bought it.
Well, that changes it.
Okay.
Meg.com.
3 letters, CVC, woman's first name, meg.com. And in my house, soccer term before anything else.
What's the soccer term? I don't even know what is a soccer term.
Oh, that's right.
What is it?
The nutmeg.
We call it a nutty, though, in the Midwest.
Really?
Yeah, you don't call it a
What
meg.
does that mean?
When you meg someone, it's when you, like the opposing player, you kick the ball between their feet, and then on the other side, you get the ball again. So you just go like almost through them.
So you're like dribbling down the field. They come up to defend you, and you just kick it through their legs, and you keep moving. And meanwhile, they're still standing there with the ball that had just passed through them. Yeah. But we call it a nutty. Like the whole crowd goes, nutty.
Really? Yeah. Oh, my kids are like, did you see me make him? It was awesome.
So that's probably why it's a good value. That's why Drew bought it, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Soccer, World Cup.
World Cup.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you guys think he paid for it?
Man. Well, I saw Sean up for sale today. Somebody sent me an email, and then they had all the stats down there. And, of course, I read none of them because I didn't think I was interested in it. I should have read it, so I'd have some background. Man, that's a good name. This is getting tough because Drew's starting to put some money in the kitty lately with all these sales. So it's changed what he has to spend. I will say 80 grand. It's worth a lot more, but I'll just say 80K.
Jebediah?
I was actually thinking a little bit lower than that. I'm actually thinking closer to 60 grand. It's a great name. Initials are good. MEG are good. Short. Yeah, 60 grand.
Okay, Drew. Dun, dun, dun.
All right. So, I didn't know the soccer reference. The reason I love this name was, first of all, it's a female first name, which we've sold in the last 2 years, 3 years, just a ton of female first names because, AI being one of the hottest, trends and industries right now. There's tons of startups, tons of venture capital flowing into artificial intelligence companies. And part of the allure or part of the sort of marketing proposition of these AI companies is to give it like a humanoid personality, like a Siri, like a Alexa, right? And so Meg is a short, easy to spell female first name. And so I think, it has strong potential to be attractive for, some new AI personality. But ultimately, what I really like, and what I've said many times before, is that when two-letter.coms and three-letter.coms sell, 99% of the time, it's not because of some generic meaning that they might have. Like, it's not going to be because I would venture to guess that when I sell Meg, it won't be because Meg.com is a first name. It'll be because MEG is the acronym for some large corporation. And ending in G is one of the best letters you can have for group. And those are usually large conglomerates with a lot of money or investment groups or people with egos, people with money, and people that want to own that domain. So we've had a lot of success with domains ending in G, 2 letters, 3 letters, even 4 letters. So anyways, yeah. So Jebediah, bang on, 60 grand. That's what we paid. I think that given the circumstances that it is a CVC, it is a first name. I'm not going to say that was cheap. It wasn't, but I do think that name is worth a lot more. And it's basically you cannot get a 3-letter first name anymore. I mean, they're not out there. Unless you want to pay big bucks. Bob, Tim. And those are male. They don't sell as well as female. So
the most valuable is Jeb, by the way. Just gonna throw that out there.
Yeah. Well, ending in B makes it also extremely valuable.
Yeah.
And you'll never have Shane with the Diamond Company, although they don't even actually own it. But yeah, it's been held hostage by a domain squatter. I'm just kidding.
Really?
I don't know. Tess is the U.S. government has it, so.
I did.
Really? Do they have test.com?
Yeah, their trademark thing.
Well, yeah, but that's under the USPTO. I don't know. Then maybe they do. I don't know.
I think they do.
That'd be cool if they do.
And I did see another one.
Yeah.
The one I saw wasn't Sean.com that was up for sale, is Jamie.com.
Oh.
Yeah, Jamie. I saw that too.
But with all the ways to spell Jamie and Sean.
How many ways can you spell Jamie?
Tess is an electronics lighting company since 1946. Website hasn't been updated since 2006. 2006.
Yeah. Hey, Drew, if you ever have some free time, pick that one up for me.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the ways to spell Jamie. How many other ways? You said all the ways to spell Jamie. Name another.
Jamey, Jayme.
Nobody spells it Jamey.
I don't know. You're pushing it.
That's not right.
All right. You know what? I got everything wrong. The government doesn't have test.com. I'm spelled Jamie.
Actually, I will say to Tessa's defense, I gave my son a unique name with a unique spelling, and we thought we were unique. And then he shows up on T-Ball, and he's the third one with the exact same spelling. And it is, people are, we sort of talk about domains this way, but people with people's names are doing the same thing. They're taking generic names and making them different by Jayme or just craziness. I've seen that. So yeah, Sean and Jamie, and there's a whole bunch of different ways.
Now Sean is a lot of the old Sion way is what was Yeah, Sean's got a lot of different spelling, no doubt about that. But
Hey, Jebediah, sit up. Can we see your shirt? Can people buy those? It looks awesome. Your little donuts shirt there. I like it.
This is actually our old logo. We've updated the logo, so unfortunately these have been retired.
I guarantee you buy a domain for 30 grand, a shirt comes with it. That's the deal.
You might even get it hand delivered.
That's right.
Nice. Okay, let's move on, guys. We are on
That's a good buy, by the way, Drew. I like that buy.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Considering the names we talked about, I looked at the history of the names that had sold over the last 10 years. You're going to kill it, no doubt.
Okay.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
In the domain portfolio review, that's next. Sorry, actually, let me tell you about our sponsors first, who support us in our mission to educate people in the industry.
First, serious about online trading? Secure your funds, keep your merchandise safe, and use a company that keeps the buyer and seller protected the whole way through. That's escrow.com. Payments you can trust.
And now, in the domain portfolio review, we take user-submitted domain portfolios and provide honest and constructive feedback to the owners so they can cut their losses, continue to hold them long-term, or figure out a sales strategy moving forward. Today's portfolio is from David Kassar. It is 17 domains, 2.co, 1.co.uk, 11.com, a .net, and a .org. So, Shane, take a peek here. It starts at cosmeticsamples.net and goes down to waterfastguide.com. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I had a lot more fun talking about Meg, to be honest with you. No, I honestly, this is the hardest part. Is there's so much talk about these great sales and these big names, and all over Twitter. Kate sells $1 million worth of domains. And then there's the rest of these all down at the bottom that other people have to make a living with regular, quote, regular names and lower ends. And then you go below that, and then there's this portfolio, and I just don't see hardly any of them in this. I went through, you've got .net, which .net alone is hard. Even a one-word .net is getting difficult right now to flip. Then you add weird words, go visit website, that sounds like a non-native English speaker. And I don't know what David's nationality is, but it doesn't sound a natural flow. The only one that I saw was Fat Jaw. And Fat Jaw could be something, a jawbreaker, some kind of brand. I see that possibly could sell by putting a buy it now at After Nick or something and waiting around. Proof of record and record proof. There could be some legal use there, but I love, I always tell people I would love to be there when they're sitting at their computer buying or registering. What crosses their mind, and I think this is the best way to spend my money at this particular time. Because yeah. I don't get it. I can't, and I hate to be so negative, but I just don't see anything here that works besides Fat Jaw and the proof of record names that I'd want to do. I'd put them at After Nick for a price and just let them drop. I hate to say that, but this is one of the few portfolios that I would say just let most of them drop. We'll see what the other guys say.
Drew, any you would renew?
So there's two names that I like, which coincidentally are different than the ones that Shane likes, surprisingly. So I like selfdestruct.co. I think that, self-destruct, it's never going to be like a $100 million company. It's going to be some small niche technology company. It could be something related to encrypted email, encrypted messaging, like a Snapchat. You send a message and it disappears after a certain period of time, or after somebody's read it or seen it or whatever. And so selfdestruct.co, I think it's a cool brand. I think it has a very real application for timely technologies that are hot in the market today. And so I think that's a good name. I think it has a strong potential to find a home. May require some outbound marketing, but I think that that's a good name with good potential for resale. If you were going to resell it, I think it's probably 3,500 on the low end, $5,000 more realistically, 7,500 to 10 grand is absolute top, you know, of what that would fetch. Love to see somebody prove me wrong, but I think that's probably the range where that name would move if you found the right home. And that's based on the fact that, you know, Self-Destruct isn't going to be, you know, some big multi-purpose technology company. It's going to be a company with one product or one small series of products with one specific, you know, sort of application. So I think
.co though,
that's
right?
a good name. Yeah, .co. Yeah. No, if it was .com, you know, I'd put it at probably, you know, 10x that. And that is not to say that I think .co is worth 1/10 of .com. I just think in this particular instance, the .co is worth 1/10 of what the .com would be. And there's a whole slew of reasons why that is, but I'm not going to take the time right now to explain it all. I kind of like, I'm going to say, I don't love it, but I kind of like teamchat.org. But, you know, I honestly, as I was saying that, I kind of take it back because it's such a hot space, but they're all branded products and they're really hot. They're all unicorns. They've got literally billions of dollars to do marketing, and they don't need the generic name. And so I could see some kind of open source product being created on teamchat.org, but open source doesn't make money. So yeah, I don't really like it. So I think selfdestruct.co is the only one I like in the list, and everything else, you know, there's some names I'd probably keep maybe, but not really. Yeah.
Okay, save it for Jebediah. Thank you, Drew. Jebediah, what are your thoughts? What would you keep?
So I'll be honest, I was nervous about this portfolio because I didn't want to come across as the new TLD guy that says, get rid of the whole portfolio. So I sort of, very similar to Drew, forced myself to like Team Chat. You know, my kids play sports. Every year there's some new product that we have to check the game schedules on. There's Team Snap, there's 1,000 of them, and literally every year new managers start with a new thing. So there would be an opportunity there for, you know, maybe a couple $100 to $1,000 is where I would see a name selling like that. But that would be big time luck of the Irish kind of thing, like finding a startup that hasn't had any ideas of how to name it yet and decided to go with the .org and go from there. The other one that caught my attention, but very quickly lost it, was Proof of Record as well. You know, and I think that might have just been because of all the who is stuff that's going on. Everybody's talking about it. So you keep, you know, it's just on your brain. So like, oh, I wonder. And then you keep looking at it and it gets longer and longer and longer, harder to read. So I think that this particular portfolio would serve them better to sort of reevaluate and probably let them go and start fresh with some new ideas.
Okay. Thank you, guys. I'm surprised nobody mentioned free yoga challenge.
Maybe yoga challenge, but why do you have to put the word
Yoga
free in front of it? It's not an iPod.
Yeah, you're right. So a lot of these, it's just a word that goes with it. You know, can be water fast guide. You know, something like that is a little, throws it off. Insurance plus would be okay, but this is plural, insurances plus. So yeah, we'll see what David does. I wonder if he listed them on Afternic with no reserve until they expire and see what happens.
One thing I always tell everybody that a company, when you market a company, you don't have to put what the company does in the name. Most companies don't want what they do in the name in case that's not what they do as they expand. So the days of type in traffic where you want to say, this is what we do, and maybe somebody will type it in and find it. That's gone. So if I'm selling, team chat, it's probably not going to be called team chat anymore. It's probably going to call like, a name or, something else that's just a brand that does team chat. And it's hard to get people to pay attention to that's what branding is all about, is you want a cool, memorable word, but it doesn't have to be exactly what that company does. It just needs to be a brand that's memorable. And that's been for 150 years. Only because of typo did we start putting what we did into the name, in my opinion. These are all my opinions. You guys may disagree.
Well, thank you, Shane. Yeah, that's a great opinion. And David, thank you for submitting those questions and for submitting those domains and giving the Sherpa Network the opportunity to learn here. I hope the review's been helpful to you in your domain investing activities going forward. And let's keep in touch and see how this advice helps you change your strategies going forward as well. Before we jump into the domains going to auction soon, I'd like to tell you about our sponsors who support us in our educational mission.
Finally, if you're a domain name investor, don't you have unique legal needs that require domain name technical know-how and industry experience? That's why you need Stephen Lieberman of Greenberg & Lieberman or Jason Schaefer of Esquire.com. Go search for Jason Schaefer or Stephen Lieberman on DomainSherpa, watch their interviews, and you can see for yourself that they can clearly explain issues, can help you with buy-sell agreements, deal with website content issues and UDRP actions, and even help you write your website terms and conditions. Stephen Lieberman and Jason Schaefer are the lawyers to call for internet legal issues. See for yourself at Esquire.com or APlegal.com.
So let's move on to the marketplace list. This segment is sponsored by NameJet. We're reviewing here, 15 domain names, 14.com and 1.net, heading to auction soon. If you like one of the names below, click through soon, because once they go to auction, you lose your chance to put in your minimum bid or even just to watch what's going on in the auction. The links below go directly to NameJet. They're not commissionable links. Just want to see what kind of traffic we're sending them. So for transparency, we always start out seeing if our Sherpas own or are brokering any of the names listed below.
Not yet.
Nope.
Not yet. I like that. Okay. So to our Sherpa Network, if you're watching or listening, now's the time to press pause. Look at the domains, pick your top 3, your bottom 3, price them, and then come back and listen to the Sherpas. It'll only take you a couple of minutes, but it's taking that moment that really grows your perspective, especially don't just pick them, but pick your price. Once you've committed your mind to thinking it through, then hearing someone else's perspective really helps you evolve your thought process. All right, guys. Who is up first? Drew here. Drew, what are your thoughts?
Okay. So a bunch of names on here I like. I did not look at the reserves. I thought usually NameJet sends us low or no reserve names, but I at least I know from past auctions that some of these names that I like had quite a high reserve. So that may not be the case on this particular list. But, my favorite, obviously Taj Mahal has, geographical, historical implications. And that is more than likely the most, let's say, monetizable.
Reserves 25 to 50, just for information.
Okay. Which is lower than it's been in the past. I think it was over 100 in the past. But I remember I was in the auction for Taj Mahal when it sold the first time, I believe it was an expiry. And I tried to buy it. I think I missed the end of it, if I remember correctly. We're going back a while now, and this was probably 6, 7, 8 years ago. But Taj Mahal is one of my 2 or 3 all-time favorite musicians. And so that was my reason for loving this name. But I'm not sure that that's monetizable, or it definitely is not monetizable unless you want to lose the name. So I love that name. I don't know that I'd be in the $25,000 to $50,000 range, so I'm going to just skip over that one. I think the name on here, which I think in terms of bang for the buck that I like the most, is CaliforniaLoans.com. So in general, I don't like state names as much as I like city geos, because most people are shopping specifically within their city, and getting your arms around a state is much more difficult. Getting your arms around a country is even more difficult unless it's specific to travel. And so, but CaliforniaLoans.com is a great name. And California is the hottest real estate market in the United States. Between San Francisco, Los Angeles, I think both of those are like the number one and the number two hottest real estate markets in the United States, followed by New York and then I think Seattle. So I think that is just a great name. I think you could probably pick that up for a couple of grand on NameJet. My guess would be $2, $3, $4 grand. I guarantee it sells under $5. And I don't know what the reserve is, but I think if you put in the work, I mean, there must be 10,000 lenders in California, and it's extremely common in markets like LA or San Francisco, where people are looking for bridge loans and alternative lending, hard money loans, and there are tens of thousands of freaking lenders. So you find the right guy, especially with private loans, it's like trust is so critical, and having a brand like California Loans will go a long way to that. So I like that name. I think you could sell that for 25 grand. I think you can push 5 to 10x on that name from what you can buy it for on NameJet. I don't think you're going to get a ton of like inbound serious buyers. You might, but I think if you put the work in, you hit 100, 200 lenders in California, somebody pays you 25 grand for that name. So that's definitely my bang for the buck favorite name. There's a whole bunch of other names on here, which is like, oh yeah, I like that name, but it's like, I like that name if I bought it for $69, and I don't think they would go for that price. So, I like Herbal Living, but the double L turns me off a little bit, but it's still a good name. SoCal Solar, again, Southern California, such a hot market. The sunniest place in America. So solar is obviously huge. I think that name could do really well. Not quite to the caliber probably of California Loans, but probably a 5, 10K flip. If you find the right buyer, maybe better than that. If they're the right size, big installation company. I'll leave it there.
All right. Well, thank you, Drew. Good insights. Jebediah, what stands out to you?
Well, the first thing that I see on this list is a lot of new TLD endings, actually. It's a little selfless plug for donuts here. But things like .loans, .guide, .home, .tours. But that being said, I'm sort of right in line with Drew, having done, the home loans deal and doing my research with loans nationwide and things along those lines. California Loans literally jumped off the page to me. California is one of those markets that not only is it constantly building within California, it drives a lot of traffic outside of California. So people looking for lenders or things along those lines in California, outside of California, that could be a good commodity for a company to own. Same thing with SoCal Solar, owning or representing the .energy extension. We've had a lot of conversations regarding solar.energy. It is obviously a tremendous trend. Right now, it's becoming less and less expensive to actually have homeowners do it. So more and more people are looking for those opportunities. And obviously in Southern California, it's a perfect geolocation for that. So those two I really liked. I think there's good opportunities for, bought in the couple $1,000 range for a good 5 to 10x quick, actually. thousands upon thousands of lenders are in California, and most lenders in California are actual national lenders as well. So you're going to have some big players with California loans. So.
Jebediah, do you think that's a coincidence or a trend, what you're saying there? Because I do see like CaliforniaLoans.com could be also California.loans. CrashGuide.com could be Crash.guide. VeganHome.com could be Vegan.home. Do you think that's just a coincidence, or do you think it's because the ending of those TLDs are things that are commonly used, or?
I think in this case, it's a coincidence. It's a list of domain names that have come to auction. So, like we were talking about earlier, though, if you owned CaliforniaLoans.com, you'd be smart to give me a call about California.loans. One of the things that we are working on, and we're going to be putting the information out is we mentioned bleeding traffic. Well, bleeding traffic goes both ways. So there, if home loans is a perfect example right now. First page of Google for the search of home loans. So there are some major players on that page that we had conversations with beforehand that didn't believe it would ever get there. So it's there. It's a competitor now.
Yeah.
So I think in this case, it's a coincidence for this particular list, but I think there's some good names that if you don't win the auction, give me a call. So.
Okay, so Jebediah, I have another question for you. I just heard you right now say home loans is on the first page of Google, which is a big deal, especially for such a competitive term. And I understand you mean, home.loans.
Right.
Is that how, like, you're more cutting edge than I am on gTLDs? Is that the thing, to say home loans instead of home.loans?
I don't know if it's cutting edge. I mean, it's what we say, because it's, that particular brand is a search term. So people don't go to Google or Yahoo or Bing or anything and type in, home period loans, if that's what they're searching for. They're just looking for home loans.
Got it.
This particular domain name ranks on the first page of Google for that search, and it's also the brand. So, we've put out a case. I mean, it's a big path we can go down if we want to talk about it. But we've done case studies, and when the SLD and the TLD match the search term, consumers equate that as an exact match, and they're more comfortable going to that because it makes sense. But that's just the way I say it. I don't know if other people in the new TLD space call. I call vacation rentals. Like, that's their brand. So that's, I call Amazon. I don't call it Amazon.com. So
yeah,
they're the same thing.
Cool. All right. Thanks, man. Okay, Shane, what do you think?
Well, I didn't see home loans on the first page of Google, but that's a different story. Everybody's different, but I was curious about, when I went back to people don't put loans in their name. So I typed in home loans, plural. And the only people that have the word loan in their name are Quicken Loans. And that's because they're differentiating between Quicken and Quicken Loans. Everybody else is.
You have Caliber. Caliber ranks number 3 for me, and they're CaliberLoans.com.
Yeah. See, and of course I got local built into mine. So I've got the U of I credit loan. You're not going to get that one in your search because it throws a local. But, I got Bank of America and GuaranteedRate.com. But I mean, that's, again, for another thing. But that's part of the deal. As a company, that's part of what establishes price is options. That's what it comes down to. What are your options? I don't know. Is there a .loan? Is there a non-plural .loan too? That's one more thing to throw into the mix.
There was, but now what did ICANN? I mean, you're going to know better than me. I read something about ICANN came out with a ruling about crushing all the, I don't know if one or the other, either getting rid of the plural versus the singular because of conflict. I don't know if it was a court ruling or who made that ruling, but I believe they're doing away with, like, if there's a .hotels, then there's no .hotel. If there's a .loan, there's no .loans, or vice versa. What's the deal there? What was that ruling? I'll
be honest, I'm not the person here at Donuts to discuss that per se, since it was an ICANN agreement or a ruling. My understanding is originally that was supposed to be the deal. There was only supposed to be review and reviews were not going to happen. It was going to be one or the other, and then the two interested parties could work it out. Since then, there has been some modifications. ICANN has come out with some information since then. I can tell you though, comparatively, like with loans and loan, obviously doing the difference, it's an interesting phenomenon that's happened with .loan. It's owned by a registry that sold it very, very cheap. I believe it came up like on number 3 or 4 in the top spammed new domain extensions. And you don't see a lot of domains being built out on that extension. On the flip side, we do see when people register .loans, those domain names are being built out. We're currently looking at if there's a preferential treatment given to the extension based on the end use. So if .loans is built out and there's a lot of domains that are relevant with content and things like that on .loans, and .loan is not, do the search engines recognize that difference or not? And my opinion is so far, and this is strictly 100% my opinion, strictly what I've seen so far is it does notice that. But time will tell as we get that information kind of starting to roll in as we see the difference. But to answer your question on ICANN, something has happened. I'm not sure what it is though.
I just found it. So it does not apply to the existing new gTLDs that have been,
the new ones,
whatever, rolled out.
Right.
But in the next round, if a next round does happen, which it seems it will, there will not be any, there will only be one version allowed. I don't think it's been made clear about how they'll determine who gets, who wins that contention set. Right. But they will only allow one version. And it seems to imply that they're only going to allow the singular, which is odd to me because in general, I think that in most of these cases, the plural makes more sense than the singular. Like loans is definitely better than loan. Reviews is definitely better than review. Hotels is definitely better than hotel. Well, actually, that one's different, right? Because hotels would be like for a chain of hotels or for a search site, whereas hotel would be for a single operator, which there's going to be more of those. So as a registry, probably the singular is actually a better option.
Okay, so Drew,
anyways,
will you send me that link so I can put it on Sherpa?
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, we can get back to it, but that's the thing when you're buying domains is that's part of the deals. What are the options? Where else can we go? So that obviously determines value. And so on the names I liked, there were only a couple that I didn't like. I wasn't a body better didn't make. I'd rather have better body than being better at bodying. I didn't like noveltygifts.net. That's a build out. The one that we didn't talk about, but text, just saying text really fast. It's obviously something we all do. We all know, we know the word. It could be a brand, but I don't think it's not a name that I would try and figure out where I'm going to do with it compared to the other names. I think my return compared to what people are going to think it's worth. But neither one of you guys talked about that one as well, even though it's one of the biggest parts of our lives on all that stuff. I loved Vegan Home. I'm vegan except for all the dairy and meat that I eat. So I'm 100%. But vegan's vegan. It's a running joke for years here on the show, but it's not. You're not playing around when it comes to vegan money. They don't mess around in California. There's as much money is going into loans. There might be as much going into vegans lately out in the state of California. It's there's a lot of money and it's a lifestyle. It's a home. It's the vegan home. That's my kids are. If you're vegan, your kids will probably be vegan. It's just that's a big thing. I love solar names. I think solar is definitely the future. I did look up to make sure it wasn't trademarked and owned by a company. And there is a SoCal Solar advising company that's a little longer, so they don't just have SoCal Solar. So you don't, that's the only thing is when you buy a name and there's a company that's established with trademarks and business, they're not going to really care what you spent on that name. They may try and get it from you, even though they forgot to get the name. They may not remember until you own it. So you always need to look and check out who's established. Obviously, your defense is going to be, there's so many solar people in California, but when there's one operating and doing business under that exact name and they file the trademark, it doesn't matter. But I do love SoCal Solar. I probably will be a bidder. I've said I own islandsolar.com. Islands need solar more than anything else. So I buy solar names if I see them. Another name I didn't like, Salary Data. I hate these kind of names. I hate build out informational sites. They're just such a waste of time for what I'm trying to do. And I never will build out anything that I say I will build out. Every time I buy it, I say it's a perfect build out. I'm going to do it. So far, I've got a big giant goose egg on what I've built out that's been successful and made me money. So Salary Data, I'm sure there's lots of information. People want to know what people make, and I'm sure I'm not touching it. Green Cleaners. When I saw that, I thought it first said Green Clean. Green Clean would be, I'd kill it. That'd be great. But Green Cleaners, again, everybody's about clean and green and doing things natural. So I think that's a fantastic name that Green Cleaners won't go for much, but I bet you can sell that in the 5,000 to 8,000 to the right person, because green always costs more. What else did I say? Big Bang.
That good green.
Good green. Big Bang's porn site. No, that's done. And then rocket names do fine. You notice there's tons of rocket names all over the internet. They love rocket. So Jet Rocket, not only do you get jet names, which are all over, you get rocket, you get them both at the same time. So again, I'd have any of these names except for maybe 2 or 3 that I don't want to touch, but the rest of them, you get the right price. Taj Mahal is going to be tough. Again, that's one of those names that you love the name, everybody knows, but who do you sell it to and what do you do with it? You
got to be, a tour operator, selling tickets.
It's going to be a tougher sell. That's the thing is, I don't want to limit myself and then put big money into it too. So not only do you have to work, but you're going to have to put in 35 grand into it before you even start the work. That's a tougher name to work on. So if I agree with both of them. If I were to take money and think I have the best chance of making more, California Loans is probably your best chance to flip. But that's over now that we've all 3 talked about it. There's no way it goes under 5 grand now. 0% chance. Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, good point. All right. Well, thank you guys. Yeah, very good insights. We're coming towards the end of today's show. I'd like to give each of you an opportunity to share what you have going on in your lives, personal or professional, brokering, selling opportunities you're looking for, etc. Let's see. Let's start with you, Shane. It's been a while. I really, really missed you this summer. And thank you for always being so devoted to come on this show.
Yeah, no, I felt bad. My schedule wasn't, I don't travel that much, but my daughter leaves for college in the middle of August. And so we traveled and going places and doing things, and that comes first. It was easy to say no this time to anybody that asked if I needed to do something. You turn left and see your kid and realize she's not going to be there. It can wait. There's more more Sherpa shows later, but your kid's only there a little while. So that's on my blog, I talk personal because this is business, but there's always personal left and right of the business. So it's easiest for me to talk about something I know. And I also realize that we all deal with these, before the show comes out here, we're talking about our kids and we're talking about moving. We're talking about our spouse, and that's what rules the roost. Everything else we do, is second. I mean, we talk about it, but it truly is. So, that's what DSAD is about. Josh, this morning was a fishing story. I know that's not domains, but it is a guy that buys and sells a lot of domains. But when he's not doing it, he's out fishing and catching 10-foot-long giant carp things. And that's what you'll find at the blog. And it's dsad.com. It's what we do. We find names and we tell some stories in the beginning too. So that's what I do. That's really all I need to push.
Well, thanks, Shane. Sure appreciate it. Jebediah, you're next.
Kind of same like Shane. My kids are home from school, so spending a lot of time with them and the family. This is the first time in a long time, other than recently, where I have the opportunity. I do want to shout out to my wife. if that's okay for the show. I've
No.
been sick for a while. Yeah.
That's it.
Too
You're
bad.
off.
Sorry.
That's it.
gonna-
Jebediah is banned. There's no wiping out.
That's it. Never going to be a Sherpa again. No,
That's
but,
going too far.
but,
Jebediah is now every female listener's favorite Sherpa.
That's right.
no, I was sick for a while, pretty sick, and my wife is an amazing woman, and she allows me to do the things within the domain industry that I do, and that's awesome. Her encouragement has actually allowed us here at Donuts to, hopefully by the time this launches, report the largest new TLD sale in history.
Wow.
We're excited again. So I'll come back on and talk about that one once it goes public, but we're really excited about that. So
What a tease. When's it going public?
soon.
Soonish? Okay.
We're
All
by
right.
the time it airs,
we're under NDA right now, but soon. So,
Okay. I'll be scheduling with you shortly.
Sounds good.
Congratulations. All right, Drew, you are last for a reason, because I assume you have a lot to say. A lot's been going on with you.
God, I don't have that much to say because I've had going on with me, actually. Hold on. Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
actually sounds better now.
My headphone literally just died as I started speaking, so now I'm on the laptop default. One thing I'm going to note before I go off on my own tangent is, overall, I think it's worth noting that the industry as a whole, whether you're doing new gTLDs or .coms, as long as you're dealing in premium or ultra premium domain names, this market is the hottest I have ever seen it in my career. I've said it before, but I just, I subscribe and I believe that part of my success is that I wake up every day and what I did yesterday or the day before that does not matter. I wake up every day and I say, okay, who wants yesterday's news? What have I done today? And that's the only thing that matters. And I keep waking up and going, well, the sun's not going to shine like it did yesterday, but it does. And it keeps rolling. And July is a little slower than we saw in June, May, March, every month this year. But it's still cooking. And when I hear, Jebediah is popping off the biggest new gTLD sale ever. Kate Buckley just made some phenomenal sales. And it's easy for people to say, oh, yeah, sleeping and snoring, but those are .ing names. And if you are a broker, you've been in the industry for a long time, you deal in high-end names, it's kind of a thing, it's kind of an assumption that ing names, they just don't generally sell that well. Even the ones that make perfect sense for whatever reason, ing words have never been well adopted for brands. And so, we've got sleeping and snoring popping off for over $1 million, I believe combined. I don't think it was each. I think it was $1 million for the two together. You got one of the biggest new gTLD sales. We've just made some absolutely phenomenal, mind-bending sales over the last few months. We got a couple incredible sales closing this month that have been in the works for a while. One of those deals, 3letter.com, has been under negotiation for almost 2.5 years. And the first payment was just made last week. The final payment will be made in I believe August 1st, so 2 weeks from now. And just absolutely huge sale. Would be probably the largest reported sale this year, but we aren't reporting it. So anyways, overall, just an exciting time to be in the domain industry. I'm very grateful for being in the domain industry. Very grateful for Tess. I'm very grateful for Chris. I'm very grateful for my team. And I'm grateful for Shane and Jebediah and all the other guys who, that come on, and gals that come on this show. Yeah, just exciting. I'm very, very pleased with where we're at as an industry and, the growth we're making. And even though there's a lot of negativity out there and negative comments, it's, people are looking in the wrong direction. There's there's a lot of success happening right now, more so than I've ever seen in the past. And so if you're not finding it, you just got to pick your head up and look in a different direction, because it's out there. It's out there. As far as me, I'm even more grateful to Tess and Chris and because, the last couple of months have been crazy for me. We've been traveling extensively. We uprooted from Panama. We've been homeless since May 2nd. And yes, I mean, to some degree, luxury homeless, but still homeless and living out of suitcases. But we finally, we just agreed to buy a house in Lisbon. We signed. We're going to move in October. And so I'm excited to call Lisbon our new home soon. And I'm excited that NamesCon Europe has just announced that NamesCon Europe will be in Lisbon next year. That's very exciting. Those of you who come, as long as you're nice to me, I might even invite you and throw a party at my house. And if you're not nice to me, then yeah, I think that's about it. That's all I got to say.
Fantastic. Huge congratulations, Drew, on your new home. What a journey it's been.
Yes. That negotiation just puts to shame any I mean, I don't think all the negotiations I've ever been through in domain names combined equate to the amount of pain suffered in this house negotiation. It was quite interesting, but a lot was learned.
Good. Congrats. I want to hear later what you learned. On
what about you, Jess?
Huh?
Yeah, what about you?
Oh, yeah. On my end, nothing new. I'm not moving. I haven't been sick, and I haven't been traveling.
I guess that's a lot to be grateful for.
Yeah. I do. I have a lot to be grateful for. My puppy was born, and I'm going to get it in I'll get her in 3 weeks, I think. And I think it was Mike Seiger who suggested, I'm not going to go with it, I don't think, but he suggested the name Dot for,
Oh, I like it.
I like it too. And then I had my choice of the litter, and I picked one with a big black dot on her head. Because I was like, if I do name her Dot, I'm going to want her to have that dot. We'll see, but I'm very excited about that. And now I've never had a pet before, and I'm buying things and asking and reading books, and that's pretty much my free time. Wish me luck. Well,
yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck to your furniture.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know.
What kind of dog is it?
It's a Cavachon. It's a King Charles Cavalier and Bichon mix. Hypoallergenic.
Yeah,
that's what
I didn't know all three things you said. I didn't know any of that stuff. It's not a Labrador.
No, my friend has a lab and a Cavachon, and it's the only dog who has ever not made me sick. So I'm like, all right, I guess I can do that.
It's a Cavachon. I have to Google it.
Yeah, it's really cute. I don't have a picture right here, but maybe I'll put one on the site.
You've just joined one of those people.
On Twitter of what to name her.
There you go. In the comments below.
Yeah. My son, my 15-year-old, is obsessed with driving. Maybe.
Yeah, it'll be like Fortnite is what your son will name it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he would. Don't give more ideas.
Yeah.
No, on the 4th of July, he took my keys and did a little in the street. That was yeah. And he wants to name the dog Portia.
Grounded.
Portia. My best friend has a what do you call it? What are those dogs? They're beautiful, but they're mean looking. They're black with the brown, super muscular. What do they call it?
Pitbull?
No.
The Doberman?
So not same color combo as the Doberman, but with the short nose and more stocky, the big shoulders.
Rottweiler.
He has a Rottweiler called Portia.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Do you know why he named it that?
No idea.
I'm going
The whole
car.
family's car fanatic, so that's probably why.
Well, I like Shakespeare better than I like cars, so I want to go read The Merchant of Venice. There's a Portia in that, and see. I'm like, well, I like Arrested Development and Portia de Rossi in that, but
Yeah, they'll still think the car. Sorry.
yeah. So
I like
well, I
Dot.
wanted to have some meaning to me. So I like Dot.
Yeah.
So,
I'm feeling Dot.
Yep.
all right.
We'll see
I would
we'll see
love
what
it.
the comments say.
Yeah. Okay. All right. User creativity. All right. Thank you guys so much for taking your time out, especially Drew, while you're in New York. And shameless plug, Drew, you have to see Hamilton. I don't care how busy you are. You had time for this show. You have time for that show.
Go see Kinky Boots. That's what I saw.
I had an option of, go see a Broadway show or do this Domain Sherpa, and
Yep.
I had to appease the audience.
I would even let you off the hook if you went to see that. I mean, Hamilton is unlike I love Broadway shows in general, but Hamilton is unlike anyone I've ever seen. It is like, sorry for the pun, but it is revolutionary. It's incredible. It's just,
Talking about a plug.
I mean, it revolutionizes the Broadway scene, the genre. It's phenomenal, and it is so fun. It's funny. And you're in New York, and I'm so jealous.
I also would just like to comment that during the course of filming this show, Bitcoin just went up $1,000.
It's $7,700.
Yep, 7,600, I believe it's the second. It went up $200 since I wanted to say this. Oh no, now it just went back down a little bit.
Oh, there we go. Volatility.
There we go.
I'll just keep mine in Amazon stock. It seems to do just fine.
All I want to say is perfect, classic, reverse head and shoulders bottom.
That's great. Yeah.
Here we go.
Look it up. Be careful when you Google it.
So direct correlation between Bitcoin's price going up and increases in domain sales. So fasten your seatbelts.
All right. Coins.cc is back on the table.
Coins.cc, back on the table.
But all joking aside, you're serious, Drew, and you're right.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely dead serious. When we get 10 grand Bitcoin back,
Yeah.
high value domains just start.
Not just crypto names. They're just cash.
Yeah.
It's not just crypto. I don't think it's crypto.
It's very simple. People who understand crypto understand domains. People who understand domains have a better understanding of crypto than the average person because they are both digital assets. Domain names, to some extent, even though it's centralized, it's kind of the first blockchain. So,
and who owns domain chain? Dingo. Yeah. Domain chain. Is there a such thing yet? No, I don't think so.
No.
All right. Anyway, go ahead.
So anyways, that's it.
Okay.
What's it at now? Did it move at all during the soliloquy? What's the price?
7,400.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I'm all for 10. Even if I don't have a piece of it, like you said, I'd rather have somebody else who wants to buy my domain with tons of money than me, than playing it. That's what it's about. People say, you didn't make any money. Let somebody else make money and buy my stuff. That works for me just as well.
Yep.
I actually uncovered an email, ironically, that you brought that up, about a year and a half ago, where I was discussing with the client the current price of Bitcoin in relation to the value of the domain name they were buying. And it was like Bitcoin moved to $1,300 today. And now we're where we are a year and a half later. It's amazing. And I think, Drew, you're spot on. People who understand Bitcoin and blockchain understand domains, and they're hand in hand right now, big time.
Yep.
Jebediah, I was waiting for you to jump in there. People who understand Bitcoin and domains understand new gTLD.
I do. Yeah. There's been a lot of conversation about that, and I've mentioned it before. A lot of blockchain companies use new gTLDs. We have a lot of conversations with them. We work closely with them. So Donuts as a whole, is involved in a lot of that space. So there's the future is bright for blockchain and domains hand in hand.
Absolutely. Very bright.
Good ending. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Sherpa Network, for joining us. If you receive benefit from today's show, or if you have a female dog name for, oh, that didn't come out right. I was going to say for me. I'm like, okay. Moving on. Feel free to post a comment below. Thanks to David Kassar for submitting his portfolio. Remember, you can submit your portfolio via the link on DomainSherpa. Thanks to NameJet for submitting the domain names for review and sponsoring. And thank you most of all for your experience and insights, Sherpas, and for your time and energy, Jebediah, Shane, and Drew. We'll see you all next time. Bye.